drop a note about the PSYOP trading cards they have shipped, and I sent everybody their tracking numbers. This also includes those who bought the remaining copies of the World Stage Deprogramming Guide. By the way, I still owe one or two people Auto Hoax 101, and it's presently being put into its 3rd edition. And all I'm doing is I'm adding some very important things, like the chapter on incredulity versus skepticism, which is a very important distinction, and clarity versus certainty, along with a lot of new graphics and art, etc. But this 3rd edition will contain like the updated ideas on everything, and I'll have it ready to go to print within a couple of days. I just had to prioritize the PSYOP trading cards number 13 to 24, which, again, I just went to the post office with about 40 packages, not large ones. But I found a way to streamline my process, where it's no different than selling large quantities of art. Jamarian May says, what's your thoughts on the CEO Coldplay cheating? Seems like a CEO ritual to distract the masses. Yeah, this characterization of him as a CEO, which is like this villain kind of trope. Like, no, seems a little too staged to me. I thought he might have staged it because he thinks it make it, like, you know, like from his perspective, it might make him look like cool and virile. Like, look, he's taking chicks to a rock concert. Like, I think he might have paid for it because he thinks it makes his image look like a rebel or something. I don't know. It just, everything about it reeks of PR stunt. But I've noticed it's brought a number of individuals like Andrew Tate out of the woodworks. So they're able to showcase toxic masculinity. And they're like, well, he's allowed to cheat because he's a male. It's a male imperative. You're not a real man unless you're cheating. And yet these are the same people who want trad wives. But no, I'm still thinking it's staged. I haven't figured out the entire purpose of it, but everything about it just suggests hoax, like acting. I mean, if they had just played it off, it wouldn't have been notable. It seems to me like, I don't know. It's as staged as that chick on the airplane who never did come clean. What did she see? Did she not see a reptoid? When that came out, I suggested that it might have been a 23-year anniversary PR stunt for Final Destination, which starts out with a similar scene of a woman flipping out a plane. And there were some overlaps there. But since then, we've got the Space Needle crack in the floor, just like the movie. Space Needle opening, just like the movie. And there was this article that came out about how MRIs wouldn't really kill you, just like they did in Final Destination. Because in Final Destination, some of the characters get sucked into an MRI because of their body piercings and braces or something. And it's gruesome. But some doctor assured us, no, that can't happen in real life. Well, guess what? Some guy was wearing a metal necklace, and I guess he got decapitated in an MRI. Penguinati Auto Hoaxer says, Gematria Decoder said it was scripted. Yeah, you know, oftentimes I think those guys operate from the perspective of the Texas sharpshooter. As in, they have so many ciphers that they can't possibly be wrong. But I could be wrong on that. But yeah, all told, now we have 24 PSYOP trading cards in circulation. I think they're going to do well in the holidays, like as a stocking stuffer. By then, we'll have a lot more, and there'll be randomized packages or little that you have to unwrap. By the way, the title is Beelzebub because I'm being swarmed by flies, and they're just all over me. And it's not me. It's just the park. As far as the new headquarters, yeah, I decided that the office space wasn't sufficient for me to do the video content I want to create, live stream, because like to use a desk mic, you kind of have to project your voice a bit. And I was sort of in hushed tones because the next door neighbor was a hypnotherapist and a chiropractor and a psychotherapist and a Reiki therapist. And I didn't want to screw up somebody's recovery. They're trying to heal their inner child, and I'm talking about atrocity propaganda. Plus, running water is necessary to do the artwork and wash brushes. And so anyway, I'm looking at getting an art loft. You know, once I had rented a warehouse, and it wasn't much to live in, but I was able to create larger pieces. And back then I would sell murals. And I would make a lot more money on a weekend doing muraling than I do all month now. So I'm just trying to incorporate what I already know into my existing operations. And yeah, the headquarters, I just outgrew it, I guess is what I should say. And the lease was up conveniently. And I had a sign, which I know it sounds crazy, but one day randomly, for some reason, the key to the headquarters fell off my keychain. And I noted how this is always happening whenever it's time to move on. And so it occurred to me that something is up with the headquarters. And a couple days later, I got a notice in the mail that my lease had expired on that day. I just sort of missed that. But as far as the trading cards, so the numbers 25 to 36 will be out next. And about that time, I think we'll be at the point where I can start randomizing it. And I plan to use AI to assist in this and get the right cards. You know, I want to create randomized packets so you buy it, you unwrap it, you don't know what's in there, but each one is guaranteed to contain like one, you know, gold-plated Penguinati or something, or 33. I have a lot of ideas, and the company has a lot of options in terms of the types of cards, and they do the wrappers, so you'll be able to tear it open, etc. Or keep it closed. But they're selling very fast, as I expected. But I think there's a much wider audience. I really think that the red pill community in general, I want to do some stuff that'll cater to the QAnoners. We're not trying to be pro-conspiracy, we're just documenting it. Dominic says, I'm being gang stalked. I ride a bike at home at night. Gang stalking. I think all that stuff's automated now. Like, I have this theory, and I have this guess that they're doing something. Like, there's already been studies, and these are publicly admitted studies. We don't know how deep this goes, but admittedly, scientists at the University of Zurich set loose a number of AI agents onto Reddit and had real-time results in changing people's opinions at 6 times the rate that a human could. So the bots are more persuasive than humans. And you can't just call them bots. They're far more advanced than just a mere bot. My point is, they could target market an AI agent swarm to your social media accounts and your friend, and so they could try to influence you, sure. But I've been thinking, what about indirect influence? Like, what if you're raising flags because you're noticing certain things, you're posting certain things, and next thing you know, your sister-in-law and your parents are being hit with the COINTELPRO narratives to combat what you're saying and bring you back down to earth. Like, they could use bots to change the opinions of people in order to nullify you. They're going to Agent Smith everybody in your life. There's no escape. So when you said you're being gang stalked, it's like, well, welcome to the party. You know, everything is under surveillance and control. Nothing new. Oh, let's see what else. Okay, so we got the PSYOP trading cards, Auto Hoaxology 101, 3rd edition. The new studio setup, I'm kind of modeling it off of, like, I like what what Laura Loomer has. She has 2 camera angles. She has a screen on screen so you can see what she's looking at. And I don't need an alligator skull behind me. It's not about the decor. It's really about to be honest, things are very shallow. And if your presentation isn't somewhat telegenic, you're going to get buried. Substance is of secondary importance. Although our primary focus is substance, if we're going to infiltrate at a sufficient degree to do what needs to be done, we have to kind of blend in. No, I believe you're being gang stalked. Trust me. I don't know why you would be, but it's certainly possible. Look, I've been gang stalked. Should I even say this? Okay, look, I have nothing but nice things to say about the Church of Scientology. However, they do engage in gang stalking, form of harassment. So you know, and they want you to know that they're watching you at all times. And one of the more alarming examples, and I can list many, they thought I was part of a group that was infiltrating to discredit them. They thought I was part of Anonymous. No, I was legitimately researching all kinds of different religions and stuff. And somehow I got listed on some website as being an infiltrator. But then the Anonymous people thought I was a Scientologist. So I was being harassed from both ends. But anyway, I was at a Walmart once, and I saw some guy in a suit, and he had the IAS with the torch on it, which is a classic Illuminati symbol. The IAS is International Association of Scientology. And he said hi to me by name, which I thought made me uncomfortable a little bit. But I had a name tag, so I'm like, no big deal. There's no way they're targeting me. Well, next thing you know, I drop off a friend after work, and the next day, the friend contacts me and she says, yeah, I got some Scientology literature rolled up and stuffed in my doorknob. Like, not in the mailbox, but under the door handle, like rolled up and stuffed in the door handle. Scientology recruitment literature. And I'm like, wait a minute here. You're saying that at some point after I dropped you off from work, we worked together, Scientology, who talked to me, had somehow managed to put some literature like on the door. Like, this is like after 11 at night, just really strange. And that's just one example. I have worse examples and worse suspicions even. I mean, a few of them approached me. One of them had a camera under a jacket. They thought I didn't see it. And I identified this person because they showed up on a local news segment about underground bases in Tremenia, New Mexico, which were being covered by local news, but the news broadcast was canceled midstream, mid-broadcast. And they said, oh, we were just doing a system test. This has nothing to do with Scientology. It's like, no, Scientology shut you guys down. Thank you very much, Frank Mirror. Appreciate the support. In fact, last month's Super Chats are what covered about $150 worth of postage today, which is part of the operational costs. These trading cards are in fact profitable. That's why I'm rolling it forward every single month. So now we have 24 in circulation. Next, it's going to be 36 and then 48. What's up, Nama? Thank you for joining. Jamarian says, how about a coffee table book about PSYOPs? Yeah, I like the idea of taking these cards and making a slideshow presentation out of the cards, because I could talk about each of these cards because it's just a convo starter, but I could just easily, see, I have them all in one document on Canva, the cards, so it's like it's like a PDF file. I could print it out like a book. And so what I would do is I'd have the card here and then a written detailed description over here. Like, for example, this is the one that's making fun of the London bombing, and this one here is describing drills and movies and, you know, the indicators of hoaxery. So I'll take that very seriously. We'll do a coffee table book. The nice thing about publishing today is that you don't have to buy physical copies to get it published. You just have to make it available, print on demand, get a galley copy to inspect it. So that's absolutely a winning idea. I think also stickers. I have all these cards converted into stickers. The Dancing Nurses is a popular one. But anyway, the cards number 13, 24 just went out. We got concurrent programming, metascriptors. We got one about Kubrick, space junk, PSYOP milk cow with Epstein. Anyway, this isn't the main thing today. I just wanted to update everyone on the status of the shipment and the update on the book. So it's in progress. I also have a comic strip called Lie World that was in development last year, and I haven't really stopped, but it's about a conspiracy theorist who's always doom scrolling, and he's got a cat who's always looking at him incredulously, and he's got toxoplasmosis, and he believes all of the conspiracy theories. It's called Lie World. I'm going to be probably doing it as a weekly. I've been working on that. When I cleaned out the office, I just found a bunch of notes and scripts. I found a bunch of art and stuff that was just unsold. So it's been very useful just to pack everything up. Dominic says, some are so duped. No, they all are. What we have to get is that we live in a closed system, mainstream mediation. Not media, like specific news agencies, but the mediation itself, our mental environment. And everybody in this box, which is the programmed, everybody's in this box because they're getting their programming through the lens, through the screen. And it's a very curated worldview. You're looking through Big Brother's viewfinder. But the only people who are out of the program, which would be, people who are involved in operations like DHS, politicians, certain celebrities, crisis actors, etc., they're not completely out of the box. They're like 1% out in a very specific area of interest. They're not dragged out of the programming. Deprogrammed only exists for those who have skipped the MSM plus on the left and right, political horseshoe, woke left, woke right, conspiracy theories, left-wing wokeism. If you get out of that box and you completely dispense with the mainstream media's appeal to authority, then you enter into the realm of the deprogrammed, where it's media fakery, not false flags, where it's apolitical, where it's outside the realm of activism. Because why would you align yourself with people who are in the box? I've made this analogy before that trying to wake people up, which is what truthers think they have to do, is literally the same thing as trying to get all the patients in an asylum to overthrow the orderlies and take over. Like, they're not in a position to be organized in any capacity because they don't have the right situational awareness, and they're lost in subjectivity and in a schizoid break from objective reality, which is where we are and where certain people on top of this pyramid are, but to a very limited degree. So what we have here is a wider perspective than even the participants in the Psy War. And you can kind of ascertain based on what they're involved with, how in the know certain people are. Like Kate Perry knows space is fake, although Jaron doesn't, because he thinks Kate Perry really went to space. No, she's a space faker. David Hogg knows mass shootings are hoaxes. And you can go down the list. You can determine who knows what. And some people have overlapping areas where they have clearly seen behind the curtain with regard to fake space, fake shootings, people like that astronaut who married the politician who got fake shot by Gerald Loeffner. But yeah, now one other point here. The mainstream mediation is mediation that you take in passively. Movies, TV, news, but you're trusting the source. So you're not vetting it with true critical thinking and skepticism, which requires suspension of judgment. So it's a passive recipient mode. And that applies for the woke, the right-wing woke, mainstreamers. It's the active consumption of media. The skeptical approach only exists where we are, MSM minus. So that's a major distinction here, because what we arrive at isn't belief or alternate belief, but rather informed non-belief. And what weighs more? informed disbelief or low information belief. If you weigh the two, well, low info belief means people believe headlines and what they see on the screen. It's worthless. Our skepticism is rooted in reason, in additional information. So the informed disbeliever, I'm not saying there's anything special about us, but it's just that we have a higher amount of information than they do, which leads us to a different conclusion. Like I used to say, the reason why only 8% of the people think the moon landings are fake is because the 8% looked into it. They took the active role. What's up, Linda Curtis? Linda Curtis says, Media Nation. Yeah, and media is just the newest and most advanced form of mass mind control. It's a new iteration of religion. I was thinking about religions, and if I had to pick one, which one would I pick? And I was thinking, would I pick Scientology, even though I don't believe in space the way they do? I think they might have a decent model, but I don't think they have a God. Like, I started thinking, who is the God of Scientology? Like, do they even have one? And I'm starting to think that they don't. I don't know. I don't want to say too much. Like I said, I don't want to get stalked. Diana Southheart says, regarding the crisis dancers, any way to have a ladies t-shirt commissioned with this image? Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that one too. The only thing going viral is the dance. Yeah, in fact, I will go through Printify and I will get them on as many styles as I can. Same thing with Amazon. I have an Amazon merch and I can put these things on Amazon merch and I'll try for a big variety of styles, male, female, etc. I'll see if I can find lunch boxes. Imagine taking a lunchbox to school with a PSYOP card that says school shootings are fake. They'd probably arrest you. It's so backwards. They're like, the people who don't believe in school shootings are probably going to shoot up a school. Like, I've heard that before. I'm like, we don't even exist in the same universe. They're trying to make a threat out of non-believers, as all religionists do. Yeah, Trutherville is, when we talk about the area, so the mainstream, Normieville, everybody's in Normieville, but the fringes are Trutherville and Woketown. So Trutherville is the red pill land. But interestingly, Trutherville is actually within the county of Woke Right. Like, so if you look at it as a geographical region, it's a subset. And Woke Right contains a complete worldview that has this central premise that is actually overlapping with the red pill. And I'll put this all in a more detailed infographic in the new edition of Auto Hoax. Yeah, so here's what happens is, here's you. Dominic is right here. So Dominic here doesn't trust the mainstream news. And so what are his options? Well, if he politically leans right and he's scared of government, he's going to go to Trutherville. If he leans left, he's going to go to Woketown. Woketown's going to tell him who runs the world, so will Trutherville. They're different versions. But these are versions that add on to the stories that the normies accept. It's the plus part of it. So MSM plus. But the problem is that these exist within the big box. The only perspective outside the box is what I call the off-world stage, because this is the world stage, the program. And the program is the worldview that is steered by the meta script. The meta script is history. It is the pre-scripted history enacted on the world stage, PSYOP by PSYOP, which drive the larger, wider news cycles. I mean, nobody says everything is fake. I heard some, I'm not going to name names right now because I like her account, but she's a total MSM pluser. And I just realized that we have a huge area of disagreement where if you're still trusting alternative sources primarily with no skepticism and believing the death tolls, as we call them before, death clingers, you'll never arrive at the truth. It's one of the final guardrails. We'll get into that later. My battery's about to die. Is Woketown a PSYOP trading card? It'll have to be. That's a good one. We'll do Woketown. We'll do Trutherville. Oh, I'll do Q Street with the Q pipes. Oh, God. So we got Q Street, woke. Oh, Alex Jonestown, where they're drinking the Kool-Aid. So Alex Jonestown, Q Street, Trutherville, and Woketown. And there's 4 cards for the next set. I'll have to do an off-world stage. I have to do, like I did one on this latest set for concurrent programming, because these cards aren't entertainment or pro-conspiracy. These are educational. These cards are deprogramming. These cards will deprogram truthers. Psyopoly, I like that. Yeah, Normieville, thank you, Normieville. And each one has its associated residents. Like Q-Town, I just imagine it kind of like here in Albuquerque near Central. But instead of crack pipes, they're Q pipes. But same thing, basically. Oh, mind aids. Maid's patient. Maid's patients. Gotta get those in there. Excuse my handwriting. You know, honestly though, you could photograph this and give it to AI and it'll give you a bullet pointed list totally cleaned up. It can read everything. It's crazy. All right, thanks for joining. We'll be back later. Yeah, crack dealers. That's a good one. All the crack dealers are like JFK Jr. impersonators. Yeah, Q-pipe in every pocket. That's funny. I was just watching this 3-hour interview with Hunter Biden, speaking of crack. And my only interest in Hunter Biden getting any sort of sympathy is that we have a common enemy.